Why do we fall? So we can learn to get back up. I think it was Michael Caine that said that once in a recent Batman film, and I thought that was a great starting point for today's video. How to recover from a traumatic injury, possibly caused by a close friend or a family member betraying you, or some natural disaster or something like that. So the first thing we need to do is learn to take things one step at a time and understand the psychology behind that. Being betrayed, stabbed in the back, or even suffering a natural disaster and the destruction that follows that might be completely different scenarios. But the thing they have in common, and the thing that hurts you the most, is that they replace the orderly, consistent lifestyle that you've had. They take away from the peace that you were experiencing, and they replace that with an element of chaos, the unrecognizable, something that you don't know and is definitely bad. So in relation to a person, it's like unrecognizable behavior. You look at them and you think, how could you do this? You know, it hurts me here to see you do that. So we have to look at ways to understand that, and then when we understand it, we can recover from it. I wasn't actually alive during the period of the war, or the one before that, but I was taught the morality and the lessons learned from the mistakes made during the war. As you can see here, the devastation was widespread. But the green shoots of recovery came from a few individuals. It wasn't a mass movement, it was one or two brave people. So despite the might of the German Nazi army, those few minds inspired the nation and then the world to defeat the evil at hand and restore the traditional values of peace. Day 1, restore peace to your own mind so that the landscape of you enables you to think clearly and strategize and plan for what you're going to do on the next day. Taking it one step at a time. The first day is going to be the most important, and then obviously the first night, because you have to get some sleep.
So the dream world seems to help you sort out your thoughts, by the way. If you keep people awake for an extended period of time, then they lose their minds, essentially. The unconsciousness and the dream state seem absolutely critical in the maintenance of mental health, although people don't exactly understand why.
Never underestimate the importance of getting good sleep and the importance of having a routine in the day to ensure, or well, not really ensure, but to give yourself the best chance of a peaceful evening and good sleep, because it's absolutely invaluable to your brain chemistry. If you don't sleep, your actual neurons are chemically weaker and they will die off quicker. I mean, say if you get dehydrated for half an hour, some of them will actually die, whereas if you've had good sleep, they'll be in a better condition and they will survive. So keeping yourself in good condition and keeping your mind in good condition so that you can control your emotions and return yourself to a kind of peaceful condition is absolutely vital. That should be priority 1, really.
So it's a new day, it's the start of a new day, and a day actually means, like French, journée means day, the day trek in some sense, and how to comport yourself during the day is the fundamental question. The day is the canonical unit of time.
But really the value of getting good sleep is so that when you wake up the next day, you can have a clean departure from the previous day's events and what's in the past. When you're asleep, your brain will naturally abstract the meaning out of the past and store that in your memory for you. You don't have to consciously do that. And the reason is so that when you wake up and you become conscious once again, you can completely focus on the task up ahead. It's like when a baby's born, it doesn't think about the traumatic entry into the world that it just suffered. You know, it gets a couple of slaps on the backside and then it's happy to kind of carry on and focus on what's ahead and start learning and proactively dealing with the what's ahead of you.
Babies emerge into the light, roughly speaking, and that's like I said, that's a representation of the emergence or expansion of consciousness.
Classical morality teaches that consciousness is analogous to a light source. You know, it's pure, it shines, it illuminates the darkness, it shows you what's up ahead, it gives you awareness. And the light bulb above the head is analogous to a sunrise as well, because it's like ding, suddenly you've got clarity where you didn't have it before. So I think that's the route that you're going to need to create your own recovery path. You're going to need that little light bulb of understanding.
And the reason the sun is associated with consciousness, as far as I can tell, is that we're not nocturnal creatures, right? We're awake during the day and we're very, very visual. Half our brain is devoted to visual processing. And to be enlightened and illuminated means to develop, to move towards a higher state of consciousness. And we naturally use light symbolism to represent that, you know, like the light bulb on the top of someone's head.
That's probably the thing that drew you to watching videos, to try and reassure yourself and build yourself up for what's up ahead. 50% or more of your brain is completely focused on what's happening in front of your eyes, and obviously the sound that goes along with that. So in order to really get yourself going, you're going to have to surround yourself with stuff that looks positive and, you know, appears to help you recover your mind. So that's going to be another thing you could do after you've had good sleep. Try and put into your routine things that are going to help you feel calm and think more clearly. So maybe go for a walk outside, feed the birds. I love doing that. Watch good films. Try and spend as much time on your own as you can to calm yourself down, so that you're pleasant company once again. And then once you're pleasant company, try and go out to try and meet random people, and that will help you recover. Now, going back to the classical method of recovering one's mind, I wanted to go back to World War II, as after World War II had finished, we saw a period of accelerated growth and positivity. This was an organic result of having gotten rid of all the negative influences and surrounding oneself with allies, positive influences. So I think that's what we have to do next, is surround ourselves with positivity and try and secure ourselves from negativity. Not necessarily cut people out, but just make sure we're not around when they're being negative. The best and the most efficient way of recovering your morale and actually cheering yourself up is to face a situation like that or a person like that and actually manage to turn them around so that they become an ally or friendly to your point or whatever. But since that's not always an available option, or it's very risky and difficult, could go the other way, probably a more easy way to deal with this is to make sure you've got 2 or 3 people in your life, or even one. Let's just say one. You need one person in your life that you can credibly rely upon regularly to just have a phone call with, or a little conversation in person with, just to say how are you doing, and just get someone else's viewpoint. Because I find that although spending time on your own is useful for thought and comprehension of things that have happened in the past, to get yourself back into the moment of now so that you can be good company for other people, it's usually beneficial just to have a phone call with someone or sit and have a cup of tea with someone. So definitely would recommend that as a first step for surrounding yourself with positivity. Tell that one person the tragedy of your life and try and make them laugh. Try and find some comic in there and make them laugh. Classical morality teaches us that tragedy is actually the root of comedy. If you look up the Latin meanings of those words, that's what you will find. And that's the way we build strength. We laugh at the things that we've fallen over after we've got ourselves back up, and it reminds us in a light-hearted way to learn those lessons. And besides, cheering up, is always a good thing to do, isn't it? So cheer up. I haven't got the slightest idea what this guy's saying. But it's funny nonetheless. So yeah, I think comedy is definitely something that we require in order to stay sane and in order to preserve hope. On the subject of preserving hope and encouraging the ideal future reality that we would like into existence, I happen to be something of a loudmouth. Well, I'm a Christian, aren't I? So, comes with the territory. I find it extremely easy to become hopeful, and it's because I have a vision of the future, which is good. So I always think pretty much whatever we do, we're going to get towards this good future. I don't think it's predetermined by any means. I think we have to make that future. But I think the fact that we have the potential and the opportunity to make that future, that's the reason why I have hope. So things you can do to make yourself feel better about the future and more confident in your ideal prediction is, well, something I like to do since I make videos like this one I'm making now is I'll make myself a video. I'll try and give myself a rousing speech, like 3 or 4 minutes of just me telling me this is why you should be really hopeful. I'll probably mention some of the things that worry me or some of the flaws that I've encountered, and I'll talk about those a little bit, but then I'll end the section on talking about my flaws with the reasons why I'm confident I will get past those. Another thing you can do is just read about history. Read about history and the way that people had to live in the past and the problems that they would have encountered in a similar situation or place that you're in, and then you can really see why people say we should be grateful for the things that we have now. For instance, I have this book, I've mentioned it before, The Secret Soviet Police. It's a first-hand account from a prisoner from one of the Gulag camps. And when you read through this, it just makes you think there is actually, or there was, a real racism problem with whole groups of people, ethnicities, trying to kill off another one. And there being huge, international conflicts. But I mean, we don't have that kind of thing now. So when people are trying to make you feel like that's the case, no. We're having a golden age, even though we're having a bit of a recession. We haven't got as much money. Everyone's got heating, everyone's got cars, buses, we've got shops. Shops have got food on the shelves, we've got money, we've got a benefit system, we've got hospitals. Generally life is pretty good compared to how we've had it in the past. And actually in other countries. So, all things considered, if you're a rational, reasonable person, compared to something like this, or if you read I can never say his name. Dostoevsky? You know the guy. That guy. Read about that guy. And then you just think, our problems are manageable at best. I'm not saying things are ideal, but they could be a lot worse. And I think in a fair reflection upon history, if we're sincere, we are not bigots. We are not racists. We are not sexists. We are not misogynists. We are not oppressors. We are not evil. We are not thieves. We did not plunder other nations. We did nothing wrong at all in our lifetimes. And the people who had that happen to them aren't even alive anymore. They're not the people criticising us today. So, we can also take hope from that we're being unfairly treated here, and actually, in the end, when all things right themselves and the loose ends are tied, we will come out looking good, because we've behaved and we've had moral decency throughout. We haven't had ill tempers, we've not been baited into reacting, and in the end, peace has prevailed, as it has in the past in history, leading to the country we live in today being so free and so democratic. So that's about it. I think we're coming up to the end of the video now. With any luck, I've given you enough ammunition and inspiration to fuel your rebirth into the day, and to forget your past problems, and to crack on and get them solved in future. And that, dear friends, is the end of this video, so I hope you enjoyed that. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
She's here, Mr. Johnson. Okay, thank you very much. Granny, they're expecting you. You're a little late, so come right this way. Step right in.